But he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it.
Yes, he is. And if Democrats want to do this, well, they're going to get exactly what they're paying for. They break it, they bought it. The moderate voice of Democrats are running for the hills. They're running for the hills. Instead, the hot new thing on MSNBC and CNN is people openly embracing the radicalism of Zohran Mamdani, because if you don't embrace the scavenger movement, then that means you have to oppose it. You have to actually oppose the scavengers, and opposing the scavengers means defending your civilization, and too many on the left are unwilling to do this. Pablo Torre, who I have no idea, again, why Pablo Torre is now being asked about his politics. Pablo Torre, last I checked, is some sort of sports commentator. But here he was on MSNBC praising the incredibly savvy Mamdani for refusing to condemn globalize the Intifada.
I found him to be incredibly savvy, actually, in how he answered that, Caddy, both for the reasons you said, but also because of clearly who he's talking to. He's trying to build a coalition, to use that word, a cohesiveness on the left. And he knows that the people he's trying to persuade that, look, I'm not your typical candidate, is in fact a population of people that do not see the ideological, or in this case, the verbal, the rhetorical purity test in the same way. That I think people who understandably, by the way, just want him to condemn it, right? I understand that completely, but Molly, he is playing a bit of chess here.
It's chess now. It's chess. He's sophisticated by being a complete garbage heap. It's just sophistication. Over at The New Yorker, John Cassidy has a piece about the magic of the economics of Zoronomics. Do you mean like the Cuban-style socialism that he is now proposing? Well, apparently, according to The New Yorker, again, this is the voice of mainstream Democrats, the answer is that he's doing an amazing job. Isabella Weber is quoted, a professor of economics at University of Massachusetts Amherst, who signed a public letter endorsing Mamdani's campaign proposals, said that Mamdani is right. In an open letter, which The Nation published a few days before the primary, more than 24 progressive economists from the United States and other countries described Mamdani's policy platform as a, quote, bold yet practical blueprint to tackle some of New York City's most urgent challenges. Above all, the cost of living. Again, the idea here is that if you provide a bold socialist critique of capitalism, somehow socialism becomes better. So what are mainstream Democrats doing? Well, either they're doing the Ezra Klein thing and saying, well, you know, they're anti-Mamdani. Even if they're not pro-Mamdani, they're anti-Mamdani. The people attacking Mamdani are the real problem, not Mamdani. Or they're simply dodging. So MSNBC's Caddy K notes that Democrat after Democrat is giving a sort of generic dodge when asked about Zohran Mamdani.
Okay, similar to what we just heard from Congresswoman Stevens, we spoke with a pair of Democrats last week, both of whom gave a strikingly similar answer when asked about Zohran Mamdani. There is a pattern emerging here.
Okay, well, yes, there is a pattern. And the pattern is they're going to avoid because they don't actually have the stones to stand up against this thing. Okay, fine. Well, you will be eaten by that thing, and you deserve to be eaten by that thing. You do. And by the way, the Republicans are going to continue to gain ground if you guys decide to follow Zohran Mamdani and AOC down this rabbit hole. President Trump isn't missing a beat. President Trump says, listen, if Zohran Mamdani becomes mayor of New York, and if he decides, for example, that he's going to obstruct ICE agents in their pursuing the enforcement of the law, well, then I'll just withhold federal funds from New York City. And by the way, I'm in favor. Good. Because I'm not sure why my taxpayer money should go to fund a city that chose Zohran Mamdani precisely.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it, but I can't imagine it. But let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I would have assumed that I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York. So I was very surprised when I said, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is.
Well, he said he's going to fight ICE. He's not going to allow ICE to...
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Oh, he's a radical left lunatic.
Yes, he is. And if Democrats want to do this, well, they're going to get exactly what they're paying for. They break it, they bought it. And by the way, it is worthwhile noting this is just another reason why the Trump administration is cracking down on the world of education, because the left has taken over the institutions of both higher education as well as public education. And this is how you end up with Zohran Mamdanis all over the political landscape. It's how you end up with young people who don't understand how capitalism works, who believe that somehow free Palestine is a slogan that is morally worthwhile as it calls for the rule of an entire group of people by terrorists, who believe that somehow it's better for the American people for drag queens to read to children. It takes a group of very highly educated idiots, as my friend Dennis Prager used to say, in order to believe this sort of stuff. Make your home look spectacular this summer and all year round. Early access to Blinds.com's 4th of July mega sale is now live. It's the easiest upgrade you'll make all season. Blinds.com makes shopping for custom window treatment simple. No showroom markups, no pushy salespeople showing up at your door. Whether you're a DIY person or you want that full white glove service, their virtual design experts work on your schedule to help you find the perfect fit. They can even handle measuring and installation if you want. From classic shutters for your living room to blackout shades for better sleep, motorized options for convenience, or outdoor shades for your patio, you can style every room from your couch on your time without any pressure. Blinds.com makes it super simple. They help us measure the windows. They help install if we can't do it ourselves. Like, really, soup to nuts, they're really easy. With over 25 million windows covered and 40,000 five-star reviews, it's easy to see why Blinds.com is the top online retailer for custom window treatments. And every order comes with their 100% satisfaction guarantee, so you can shop with confidence. Shop Blinds.com's early access 4th of July mega sale right now. Save up to 40% site-wide, plus get a free professional measure. Up to 40% off at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply. It's also why these teachers' unions, which promote this sort of stuff, are deeply ensconced in the belief that they own your children. Here, for example, is teachers' union president in Chicago, Stacey Davis Gates, saying that teachers own your kids.
Baldwin says the children are always ours.
Always. Yes. Always.
Every single one of them, all over the globe. And what comes next is, CT, you think your children are its children. Yes, we do.
They just say it right out loud. They think that your children are their children, and they're going to indoctrinate your children in the same kind of crap that Zohran Mamdani has been educated by both his parents and by his educational institutions. That is why I'm so very much on board with the Trump administration using the tools of the Civil Rights Act to slap down these institutions of higher education that have become propaganda factories on behalf of the radical left. So yesterday, the Trump administration, DOJ, notified Harvard that they were still in violation of the Civil Rights Act in a letter sent by the DOJ, particularly Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, who's terrific. Of course, full disclosure, Harmeet has acted as our lawyer in the past here at Daily Wire, particularly in the case in which we actually sued the Biden administration for violation of the law by using OSHA to try to cram down a vax mandate on 80 million people. In that letter, Harmeet wrote, Harvard holds the regrettable distinction of being among the most prominent and visible breeding grounds for race discrimination. That legacy of discrimination persists with Harvard's continued anti-Semitism. Any institution that refuses to meet its duties under federal law may not receive a wide range of federal privileges. Today, the Joint Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism is notifying you that the Office for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has concluded its Title VI investigation regarding anti-Semitism at Harvard University. After a thorough investigation, HHS OCR finds that Harvard University is in violent violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin. The enclosed notice of violation details the findings of fact supporting that conclusion. For example, the majority of Jewish students reported experiencing negative bias or discrimination on campus. A quarter felt physically unsafe. Jewish and Israeli students were assaulted and spit on. They hid their kippahs for fear of being harassed and concealed their Jewish identity from classmates for fear of ostracization. Images were widely circulated among the Harvard community trafficking in obvious various anti-Semitic tropes, including one showing a dollar sign inside a Star of David, and all the rest. Harvard did not dispute our findings of fact, by the way, says the DOJ, nor could it. Harvard's inaction in the face of these civil rights violations is a clear example of the demographic hierarchy that has taken hold of the university. And this is exactly right. Assistant Attorney General of Civil Rights Harmeet Dillon also said that University of Virginia is acting in violation of the Civil Rights Act. Here she was.
I haven't gotten anything in writing from UVA. Unlike many of the other institutions of higher learning, I've had chancellors come meet me. I've had lawyers come meet me. They've given us reams and reams of documents, not UVA.
They just didn't respond at all?
They've asked for extensions and extensions and extensions. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the troubling aspects here. And I think the concern, and we began to hear from people we're negotiating with, that UVA was unable to certify that it was in compliance with these laws. And so, but to your point, they actually did, I would call it using a series of euphemisms to simply rebrand and repackage the exact same discriminatory programs that are illegal under federal law. And my job as the top federal civil rights law enforcer in the country is to make sure that every school that receives federal funding is compliant with federal law.
Now, all of this, of course, has international connotations. We mentioned that punk duo Bob Vylan and the Glastonbury Festival, in which, again, they were chanting death, death to the IDF, and yelling at people saying, so you say you want to keep your country? And we say, F you, essentially. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who grew up with Islamists, has a fabulous piece over at the Free Press pointing out what is happening worldwide. She says what happened at Glastonbury over the weekend is part of a coordinated ideological insurgency against the Jewish people, not just against the Israeli military, not just against Israel, not just against Zionism, against Jews. Jews are no strangers to accusations of secret plots, banking plots, media plots, world domination. They're always scheming, according to the people who can't stop obsessing over them. What's unfolding now is a real plot, not being orchestrated by Jews, but against them, and it's happening in broad daylight. Ayaan Hirsi Ali writes. She says what makes this moment uniquely dangerous is the merging of two ideologies that historically have operated in very different arenas, Islamism and Maoism. The former is fueled by absolutist theocracy and tribal vengeance, the latter by class war and ideological conformity. One invokes the divine, the other pretends to be secular. Both demand submission. Islamism seeks to restore a 7th century caliphate through bombs, blood, and barbarity. Maoism seeks to flatten all hierarchies under the boot of equity, enforced through surveillance, humiliation, and fear. One dreams of paradise after death, the other promises utopia after sufficient political and social purges, but both share a core instinct: crush the infidel, purge the impure, seize control of the narrative. Islamism brings the fire, holy rage of fixation on martyrdom, a visceral hatred for Jews that predates the state of Israel by centuries. Maoism brings the strategy, the long march through institutions, the cultural struggle sessions, the rewriting of history, the reframing of reality through social media and sound bites. And she's right about this. She says Maoist frameworks like decolonization and privilege provide the ideological cover, abstract enough to sound academic, blunt enough to justify destruction. And again, this is why the sort of Free Palestine movement is the tip of the spear here. It is the consolidation point for all of these things. Because in the hatred of Israel, in that hatred is hatred of what so many people on the left see as the point of the spear of Western civilization in a non-Western part of the world. That's what Israel is to the so-called anti-colonialists. That is why you are seeing the scavengers marching together. It's why Zohran Mamdani is their candidate of choice. And it's why a democratic left that can't stand up to it has no business retaining power, even inside its own party. And so it won't. It will fall apart, and the scavengers will take complete control of the Democratic Party because there are no lions left inside the Democratic Party to stand up against them. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.